Hi, I'm Jay Scribner, and this is Real Hope. And I have a friend of mine with me today by the name of Kerry McKee. Kerry is the director of a drug and alcohol addiction rehab program called CORE. CORE stands for Communities of Recovery Experience. Very successful residential program and seeing many individuals that are being set free from the addictions of drugs and or alcohol. Kerry and I were talking recently, and he shared an interesting story of an event that took place while he was on his honeymoon a few years ago. He met his lovely wife Amanda going through this program of addiction rehab. And when they were on their honeymoon, I'm just going to have him tell the story of what took place. Kerry, thanks for being with us today at Real Hope. And so share that story that you shared with me the other day, if you will, please.
I will. Thanks, Jay. Well, my wife and I are married. It was May 9th of 2009, and we're off to enjoy a honeymoon. First thing we do is we get to go to the house and unpack all my stuff and officially move in, and then enjoy all the things that come with marriage. And we took off to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to stay at a family member's beach home. And it took us a couple of days of travel to get there. And once we got there, things were blessed. The trip was great. I get to see the beach for the first time. You can't think of much better. A beautiful bride, beach home. Life was really good. That would have been Sunday evening that we had arrived in Fort Lauderdale. And as I said, things were going well through that time, Monday, Tuesday, but by Wednesday, I woke up and we were at odds with one another. Something was going on. We weren't quite sure as to what it was. And throughout the day, we were officially bickering for the first time in our marriage. And things were difficult.
But you at least lasted 3 days.
3 days.
That's pretty good.
It is good. And so we make it these 3 days, and Wednesday, we're not sure what's going on. We knew that we didn't want to be around each other much, and so we thought that maybe we'd call in some wings. And I got on my phone, I looked up the local Wingstop restaurant, and I found the restaurant, and we called in an order. We went over there to pick up our order. And here we are in Fort Lauderdale, and if there was a depressed area of town, we were in the middle of it. It was a strip mall, and we pulled up in the vehicle, and it's dusk, the sun's beginning to set, and people are coming out of the woodwork. And you see them trolling along the strip mall front of the face, and they're digging in trash cans and pulling what food they could get out. And it was really a sad scene to walk up on. And so I had to go in to get my wings. I walked into Wingstop. Amanda's in the vehicle, parked out in the parking lot, quite a ways away, really. And the strip mall locations were really narrow. In fact, when you walk in, there's a counter, and it's about 5 foot plus high, probably for safety reasons, I would later learn. And along the left side of the counter was an aisle that went back to the bathrooms, but this aisle had two-man tables. There's several tables down the hallway and one chair on either side, so it was a very narrow, maybe 4 or 5 foot wide aisle or hallway. And so there's not much going on, and next to the door, the front door, is a bench. And so I sit on the bench, I'm waiting on my order. The windows have a great amount of tint on them, and I didn't hear anybody come in. I didn't know anybody was in there, and I felt something brush my hair, my long hair over here on this left side, and it concerned me, and I looked up, and there was a young man standing over me, quiet as could be. He had snuck in. And I thought, man, I'm concerned, so I'm grabbing my pocket knife, and I'm gearing up for what could happen, and I'm in an unknown place. And so next thing you know, another gentleman, he comes walking in, and he sits down right next to me, and he kind of scoots right over to me, and he looked at me, and I'm really concerned at this point. I'm almost scared, and I'm planning my exit strategy, and if I'm going to get my wings before I can make it out the front door. And I noticed a silhouette behind me as I'm looking at the young man next to me, and there's somebody guarding the door. So I knew from my past what's going on. This is set up. I'm either getting ready to get mugged, robbed, whatever the case may be.
And your past happens to be
drug addiction.
Drug addiction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drug addiction and the sales and use of drugs. And So I'm prepping for what could be. They were young men, much younger than me. And the gentleman who had sat down next to me, he looked at me and he said, "So where's the weed?" And I said, "I really don't know." And he said, "Come on." I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, you look like you're from California." He said, "Some surfer guy from California. Surely you know where the weeds are." I said, "Look, I'm not from here. In fact, I'm not from California. I'm from the Ozarks, Midwest, right in Missouri." And we got to talking, and I told him I didn't know where the weed was. In fact, I used to use drugs. I'm a drug addict in recovery, recovered drug addict. And I used methamphetamine. And I talked to him about being a tree tweaker. And I was so bad off in drugs. We'd climb trees, and you'd stay in trees for hours at a time because you see so many. You're hallucinating so bad when you're on methamphetamine up for several days at a time. Well, they thought this was rather funny. The next thing you know,
I'm a straight guy,
and you're straight guy,
so
yeah.
straighten me out here.
Yeah.
When you say up in tree, are you literally up in tree?
I lived on the last home I lived in. I had 40 acres with 3 deer stands, and I've never hunted a day in my life. That was just part of the methamphetamine world, and you hide out in these trees.
Was it your looks, or what was it that? I mean, these men are coming up to you and asking you point blank.
Right.
Okay, where are some drugs?
Yeah, probably the look, the long hair had a little bit of something to do with it. But I was also only sober about 1.5 years at the time. I was still probably a little underweight. I was a little shaky nerves. My nerves were still shot and affected from the methamphetamine abuse. So they probably noticed that. And drug addicts are attracted to one another. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go, there you are. But yet when you get there, there's people that say, "Hey, I know that guy uses drugs. I'm going to make a comment." And they did. So we got to talking about me being a methamphetamine user, and how it devastated my life. And next thing you know, they're laughing. The guy from the outside, he's wondering what in the world's going on. So he comes inside, and all 3 of them are standing there, and they're talking with me. And they're just getting a real kick about this methamphetamine addict. These are young guys from South Central Florida, and they don't know much about methamphetamine. Heroin and alcohol and marijuana were probably the drugs. Crack cocaine were probably the drugs of choice in that area, I would guess. So they were hearing stories for the first time, and they thought they were hilarious. And I get my wings, and they followed me almost all the way out to the truck, and they're trying to get these wings from me because I'm batting them off and told them no. But I get in the vehicle, I see them off, and my wife and I go, and I'm laying down that night, and I'm doing what this program tells me to do, and I'm constructively reviewing my day. Have I harmed anyone, and do I owe anyone amends? Was I being selfish? Was I being selfless? And as I was laying there, I realized what had hit me is I've spent the last 1.5 years or so of my life serving the Lord by helping other men and women. And every day my job is to carry this message of His hope to those who are hurting. And for this time, as great of a time as it was, I'm a newlywed man. I married the woman that God has prepared for me, and I'm on a honeymoon, but I spent that Saturday that we were married without helping others. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and by the time I wake up Wednesday, I'm in day 5. And the need to carry the message, the need to share with another human being the hope in Jesus Christ, a way out of drugs and alcohol, to minister the word. I hadn't done that for several days. And that began to sicken me. And I truly believe that's what it was. I had not shared the message of hope and a way out of drug addiction with the people that we serve at CORE, at Communities of Recovery. And I began to get sick of it because of it. I was living for myself. Even though I'm on a good time with my new bride on a honeymoon, I still wasn't doing what I needed to be doing and carrying the message of hope.
Kerry, that is amazing. I mean, that story and those principles that you've just shared, that's what Here's Hope is all about. And that's what real hope is all about. Now let me recap a couple of things that he just said, and that is that it had been 4 or 5 days and he hadn't shared that message of hope. He hadn't sought out someone or responded to someone that needed help from addiction, because that's where he's coming out of. Kerry, that in itself is a profound message right there, because not only does that apply to people that are coming out of drug or alcohol addiction, that applies to Christianity in general. We've got the hope that's found through Jesus Christ.
Right.
And yet we need to seek out somebody or just be alert, because I found, as you have too, that you really don't have to be seeking people out. Matter of fact, this story is very, very prevalent of that right there, because you weren't looking for them. They came looking, and they found you. And they got to hear about what God was doing at that time and bringing you out of addiction. That's pretty exciting. What's the end result of that? That you and Amanda, I guess, made up, and
We made up, and we had hot wings for dinner.
doesn't get any better, does it?
Doesn't get on the honeymoon.
That is great. Thank you for sharing this story, and most of all, though, thank you for sharing those principles of how we need. We've got the message, and we need to share that message. And I can assure you, there's somebody around you right now that needs to hear the message of hope and needs to have a helping hand that you are capable of sharing and giving. This is real hope, and it's only found through Jesus Christ.